So, first and foremost, shout out Team Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. Black first, second, and third. Now, we talked about me coming on here doing the live review of Kamala at the NABJ event in Philadelphia. Now, NABJ is National Association of Black Journalists. You may have saw Donald Trump when he was talking to the National Association of Black Journalists in Chicago. This is where I think they pulled from him saying, "Well, I didn't know she was black. She was Indian, and she became black," and they gave his whole ass hell for that. Now, if you saw the live review I did of Jill Stein, Dr. Butchware on the Breakfast Club, if you were with me when we did that, you know that I got cut halfway through that. And I put the first half because I was able to salvage the first half of that before they cut me off. I put that up on Patreon. So if you have any interest on reviewing the first half of that, it is up on my Patreon. So come in there, come fuck with me on Patreon or whatever like that. The second half of the live review I did is actually up on both my channels. So it's out there. And hopefully, I don't know if they're going to cut me off on this one, but if they try to cut me off on this one will also be put up on my Patreon. But hopefully, they'll let me rock out on this one. Breakfast Club just might be a little extra with that shit. But we are going to get into it on this. Now, I told y'all we didn't watch this together. And if you're wondering why I'm not on camera, let me go ahead and deal with it. I'm not on camera. I just came from cutting the grass and I got in here and got myself cleaned up, and I just didn't feel like putting on no damn shirts or no clothes at all. So this is why I'm not on camera. So don't let that throw you off. As long as y'all can hear me, we should still be good on this live. I'm not going to announce or nothing like that. Whoever sees it, sees it. If you are watching this now, hit the like button for me. If you're watching the playback, hit the like button for me. Try to get your brother further up in this algorithm, in this world of where everybody on here lying, everybody on here selling courses, and everybody on here selling black liberation or would be black consciousness. And we just, it's not for sale over here. We just gonna come have these conversations, deal with politics as they are. And I want to make my announcement. Y'all know I don't fuck with politics. Okay, it's all a game. It is a game. It's a game that they play to make sure you are still actively participating in said game. All right. We understand this. Now, we did a live review of Kamala's debate with Donald Trump as well. Okay. We watched Kamala not answer any questions. The moderators didn't challenge her to answer questions, yes or no questions, simple questions, questions that should be answered, but Kamala likes to go around the world and not answer questions, right? We're going to see if she answers any questions on this interview. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. We don't know. We're going to see. We're going to find this out together. The only clip I saw of this was her when she was actually said she was black on this. So we're going to get into that and what that means as it pertains to her presidential campaign, as it pertains to her fans, because this is what Kamala supporters are, just fans. I mean, we can't act like these are people that really fuck with Kamala like that, because we saw and we understand that when she first ran for president back in 2020, her popularity, or the amount of people that fuck with her, was maybe 4 or 5. Right now, all of a sudden, everybody is on the Kamala bandwagon as fans. I don't look at them as people who support her politics, really. I look at them as fans. And when you talk to people about her, they will talk to you as fans. This is a fanaticism that's happening now because she ain't really got too much going on, right? She really don't. And she doesn't answer any questions. All right. She just doesn't. It just is what it is. This is not hate. You criticize her, then her fans are going to come in and hate, because that's what people do when they are fans. They act like that. They act like that. Mad love to everybody that's here. Some people say they didn't get a notification. Y'all, YouTube hates on me, okay? They hate on me because they scared y'all gonna have fuck around. Black folk gonna fuck around and be on some B123 shit. And they don't want that. So you're not gonna get notifications like that from my shit. You may have to dig a little. And I appreciate the people who put forth the extra effort to come in here and find me or come fuck with me or whatever. So I really appreciate y'all for that. I really do. Let's see. Look at DeKalb. DeKalb said not at all. She danced around questions like a ballerina. Exactly. We're going to see if she answers any questions on this. Let me go ahead and share the screen. And matter of fact, I don't even need my little face there we just have this be the whole thing. It's about 40 some odd minutes long, about 45 minutes long. Let's see if Kamala answers any questions, if she deals with the issues that the black journalists are going to be addressing towards her. We're going to see if she does that this time. I don't have high hopes, but we'll see what she does. All right, let's get right into it.
Without further ado, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Slow clap. All right. Look at him. What the fuck? All right, my nigga.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for doing this and making the time.
Of course.
Just a little bit busy right now. We want to start on an issue that Americans across the country say is their number one concern, and that's the economy. A question that has been asked of you and everybody that's on the Democratic.
Let me pause this for a second. The first question he's asking her is about the economy. If you remember her debate she did with Donald Trump, the question was very simple. At that time, it was, is the country better off economy-wise now than it was when Donald Trump ran for or when Donald Trump was the president? She wasn't able to answer this. She danced around and talked about how she was raised as a little girl in the suburbs, her mama, and she got into all of that. So let's see if she does a better job dealing with this very plain and simple question. Is the economy, what's up with the economy? So let's see if she does a better job here, because she danced on the first one. She did like a little TikTok dance on the first one.
Democratic side is whether or not voters are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
So when we came into, well, first of all, let me just say, it is good to be with the National Association of Black Journalists, and I thank you for the work you do and that your members do every day. It
Great.
is
Okay,
very
answer the question.
important that we ensure that this organization and your members always have the resources and the platforms to deliver
Economy,
the
bitch.
voices that must be heard. So I thank
Economy.
you for hosting me today.
Okay, right. Economy.
4 years ago, when we came in during the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. We came in during the worst public health epidemic in centuries.
So she did say the same thing whenever she was debating Donald Trump when the economy was the worst since the Great Depression. That's just a lie, and I'm surprised she repeat that lie for reasons that I don't fully understand.
We came in after the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
Oh, Lord.
And a lot of it due in large part to the mismanagement by the former president.
Okay.
As it relates to COVID. And
Donald Trump fucked the game up, so it was fucked up when we got here. But if you ask the people, they're going to say that, no, you're wrong about that. The economy was better when Donald Trump was running.
And obviously January 6th. And we had then a lot of work to do to clean up a mess.
Okay.
As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs, over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.
Okay.
We have the lowest black unemployment rate in generations.
Okay.
We have invested in small businesses, and they're to the benefit of many people, but including black small businesses, some of the highest rate of creation of new black small businesses in years.
Okay.
We have done the work of capping the cost of prescription medication for our seniors for issues like insulin. And again, I'm speaking to the black journalists who care about all people, but in particular, I'll talk about the impact on black people.
Right.
where we know black folks are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes. And we have now finally capped the cost of insulin for our seniors
Okay.
at $35 a month, capped the cost of prescription.
Listen, here's what she's doing. The question was, is it better? She's basically she's trying to make a case that she's doing that they've done. Her and Joe Biden have done all this work to make the economy better. But the so-called inflation and people, she's saying unemployment is lower now, but people are having to work 3 and 4 jobs just to make ends meet. And she's not dealing with that. And I haven't heard her deal with that. She is dealing with the capping the cost of insulin for senior citizens. Now, she does have a plan in place to where she wants to cap the cost of not only insulin, but medications across the board. That's not just for senior citizens, not just for older people, but for everybody. So she does have that as a part of her agenda.
Medication for our seniors at $2,000 a year, because we, unlike the former president who promised to do it, we finally have allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices against the big pharmaceutical companies. And these are just some of the accomplishments. Is the price of groceries still too high?
Yes. Okay. Like, don't just say yes to that. Explain why that is. How you gonna say, is the cost of groceries still too high? Yes, absolutely. Groceries, rent. I mean, she may get into that here in a second, but with everything being so much higher due to this would-be inflation, so then now you have people having to work themselves literally to death to make ends meet. That means the economy is not better despite all those things that you listed. It just is what it is.
We have more work to do, yes. And I will tell you, I do believe that I offer a new generation of leadership for our country.
Oh my, not the new
that
generation.
Is about, in particular, turning the page on an era.
Kamala, you and this new generation of leadership that you keep talking about, and that's what you offer, is a new generation of leadership, all while just saying that the cost of goods are too high. And you didn't even talk about homelessness. You didn't talk about rent. You didn't talk about those things. But to not talk about those things and then go into your new leadership speech that you like to give is trash. Like, get the fuck out of here with that.
That sadly has shown us attempts by some to incite fear, to create division in our country, and to do the work that is about bringing some level of optimism and, dare I say, ambition about what I know is possible in our country. And so my plan for the economy includes what I imagine and believe and call an opportunity economy. What we can do to grow an opportunity economy. Where
she runs on this phrase of opportunity economy, and in which case she proclaims that she's going to create those opportunities. It's going to be up to the people to capitalize on those opportunities. It's basically more pull yourself up by your bootstrap talk. She's just using it and she's saying it in a different way, but it's bootstrap talk.
All people have access to the resources to compete, to apply their incredible work ethic, their ambition, their aspirations, and their dreams, and actually not just get by, but get ahead. And I can talk in more detail about it, but specifically, I'll mention a few things.
Yeah, please do. Because if you're talking about you're going to be able to put people in a position to get ahead, you first must deal with the cost of the goods and services and the housing. And, you know, childcare and things like that. You got to deal with all the real world things that are happening out here before you can say you're going to get people ahead, before you're talking about this opportunity economy, where it's basically, again, bootstrap talk. What do you mean opportunity economy? What are you even talking about here? As far as getting ahead, she's, and I'm going to tell you one thing I notice about her when she talks about the economy. She talks about it from the position that everybody's going to come out here and be a small business owner or be an entrepreneur. And that's just unrealistic. Okay? That's completely unrealistic. And I actually would hope that someone at some point challenges her to talk about reality. Everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur and small business owner. That's just not reality. Most people are working class citizens. So talk to and about that, as opposed to talking about businesses.
One of the big issues that affects people right now in terms of the economy and their economic well-being
Let me see.
is we have a shortage of housing supply.
Shortage of houses, right?
It's too expensive. People can't afford to buy a home. You know, we grew up, our parents, where they had the ability to somehow believe the American dream was attainable. Not so much for younger working people. And I recognize that. So my approach is a new approach, which is to say, let's just take this and deal with it head on.
So now she's working on the assumption that everybody is interested in buying a house. There are actually more people rent homes than they do that buy homes. So then talking about buying homes, which is a part of her, she does talk like that. Everybody gonna have a small business and everybody's gonna own a home according to the way she frames the economy. And that's just not reality. And I wish she would talk about reality.
And part of my approach is to say, I'm gonna employ and engage the private sector, in particular home builders with tax credits, to give them the incentive to create new housing, $3 million by the end of my first term, and
who's gonna pay for them?
Understanding that not everybody is, handed a silver spoon, but works hard and is trying to save up for a down payment. Part of my plan under my opportunity economy is to give first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance so they can just get their foot in the door to be able to then engage in what will prove to be...
Wait a minute. Listen. Do not fall for this. Again, this getting your foot in the door, $25,000 on a down payment for a home. If you do any amount of research on what down payments cost for a home, $25,000 is a drop in the bucket at best. That's not getting nobody's foot in the door, because you not only do you have to, the big thing is you're going to have to go to a bank and get a loan to take out for that down payment a lot of times. So now we're dealing with your credit being ran. If your credit's not good enough, you can't own that home. And we're also dealing with, if you look at the small print in her, I guess her $25,000 down payment plan, it's up to $25,000. First of all, it's up to $25,000. And we're talking, the wording or the verbiage of the actual plan says that you are a first generation. You only apply for that if you're a first generation homeowner. Meaning, if your mom and daddy owned a house, you don't apply. This doesn't apply to you. Okay? For all the black people who lost homes in the 2008 housing crisis, where we watched Democratic ran government, ran by Barack Obama at the time, we watched him bail out banks and leave all the people that actually owned the homes that got fucked over, left them out there on their own while he bailed out the banks. So if you were a homeowner at that time, again, this doesn't even apply to you because you're not a first generation homeowner. That's the wording of it. And it's up to $25,000 based on whatever rules they come up with. And that's a drop in the bucket.
Their opportunity to build intergenerational wealth. And here's my personal experience coming at that. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother was hardworking. She raised me and my sister Maya. She saved up, and it was only by the time I was a teenager that she could afford to actually buy her first home.
Okay.
And I know, and I identify with, I know where I come from.
Madam Vice President.
And I know, but I'm just going to finish. I know that so many people work so hard and should have the opportunity to just get their foot in the door.
Okay.
Again, so it's not just about getting by, but getting ahead. Please.
I'd like to ask you more about the opportunity economy.
Right.
Housing is a part of it, as
Drill.
well as expanding the earned income tax credit,
Yes.
financial support, as you mentioned, for first-time buyers, and a $50,000 tax deduction for startups and small businesses.
Yes.
But I want to talk to you about the squeeze that millions of Americans are also dealing with that impacts their ability to work and make money, and that is childcare and elder care. And it's a squeeze for millions of people. In some parts of the country, it costs more for childcare than for rents.
Yes.
I think Bloomberg recently reported an average of 30.
And I'm glad she's speaking on this. Like, yes, this is real. Them first 5 years before your kid go to school, this child care is real, especially if they're saying they want people to work.
$3,000 a year. So I'm just wondering, you mentioned that in your opportunity economy, a child tax credit, but that's just one part of an ecosystem.
Right.
Please.
Right. Now in her plan there is a $6,000 child tax credit for that first year that your child is born, or that first year they give you a $6,000 tax credit. And we talked about that. We understand that that's not really shit, like we being real about it. If the woman, the black woman just said that child care on average is $32,000 a year in some places, right? What is $6,000 going to do for that first year? What is that going to do overall to help out millions of people? What is she? Let's see what Kamala says.
Please tell us, what plans will you propose to guarantee that families can actually afford child care and elder care?
So to your point, it is sadly the state of affairs in our country that working people often have to decide to either be able to work or be able to afford childcare. Like they can't afford childcare and actually do the work that they want to do because it's too expensive and it doesn't actually level out in terms of the expense versus the income.
Okay, let's go.
My plan is that no working family should pay more than 7% of their income in childcare.
Okay.
Because I know that when you talk about the return on that investment, allowing people to work, allowing people to pursue their dreams in terms of how they want to work, where they want to work, benefits us all. It strengthens the entire economy.
How are you going to do it?
We saw
Kamala, how are you going to do that? You said that your plan, no more than 7% of a person's income or a parent's income to go to childcare. How are you going to do that? Is it you going to bring in a government funding type of situation, make it a governmental program? Are people going to have to sign up on lists? What are you going to be able to do? What are you going to do, or what type of structure do you have to be able to pull that off? Hold on, we're getting some buffer. Hold on.
Saw, for example, during the pandemic, what happened. And it sadly has dissipated as a conversation that we need to resuscitate, which is the number of women that had to leave the workforce because of a lack of childcare and home health care. And so many of our families, and particular women, end up carrying the responsibility. Men do too, of course. What we call people who are in the sandwich generation.
Exactly.
Who have young children and are also taking care of their parents. And it is just absolutely too expensive for them to be able to work and do that. So my plan is not only about 7% of income for working people for childcare, but also we need to do better for our childcare providers and our home healthcare providers in terms of ensuring that they receive the wages that they deserve based on the dignity of their work. I have spent time with home healthcare providers, and their work is some of the most taxing work you can imagine. And I actually, when my mother was sick with cancer.
Oh my God, Kamala, come on. Like, if you're going to sit here and say, well, basically she's saying that the people who take care of kids and take care of the elderly peoples are underpaid. That's an argument that can be made. I would argue that most people out here, most working class positions are underpaid positions. Okay? They're just underpaid positions. What are you going to do? There needs to be a federal bill passed. There needs to be some funding passed. You're not talking about how you're going to get the funding to do this. You're just talking about 7%. And that was for child care. I didn't hear her apply that also to elder care as well. She didn't even apply that. She's not even talking about how you going to do that. There has to be a federal funding or a federal program in place to do that for you to keep up with what's 7% of somebody's income. How do you even keep up with that? Per household, per person. Come on now.
Did a lot in terms of taking care of her. And the work that is about taking care of a loved one, in particular an elder,
oh my God,
is
Black journalist, cut her off.
heavy in terms of the emotional toll, the time it takes.
Cut her off.
And we do it because that is what we do.
Cut her off.
But not everyone has the ability to take time from work to do it, and they need help. And we need to make sure we have home health care workers that can help them. But I want to also get back to the earlier point that you made about extending the child tax credit. So part of my new approach is we need to expand the child tax credit. And so part of my plan that is under an opportunity economy is to extend and expand the child tax credit to $6,000.
Oh my
so
God.
that young families in particular, for the first year of their child's life, which is an extraordinary.
This is now she's into the $6,000 for the first year. The black woman just told you earlier that child care is costing $32,000 a year in some places. If it's costing $32,000 a year, you giving that tax credit, the $6,000, what is that doing to really help? The help would be to make it to where it only costs $6,000. That'd be the help. That you pay in the $6,000 and the rest of it is being, funded or, taken care of essentially by whatever plan you got coming up. Because if you, let's say it's 32, you take away that $6,000, you're still looking at $26,000 a year just in childcare. And that's, she said, for the first year. Like, this first year is them years after that. All them years up to, and hell, I would argue even after that, these kids don't stop costing money because they go to kindergarten. But come on now, like take 32, multiply that by, let's say 4 or 5, let's say 4, and then 6,000, multiply that by 4. You subtract these numbers, you're going to have a staggering number here. It's a lot of bread that's not being, matter of fact, let's do the math. Well, I can't even do the goddamn math. Hold on, 32, 4, we're looking at least, what are we talking about? $120,000 in a matter of 4 years? And you giving 24 of that, so still almost about $96,000. I'm doing rough, basic, quick math, but $96,000. Like, come on, what about that? What about that part?
Ordinarily important time in their development, have the resources to be able to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy children's clothing, and not have to worry about whether they're going to be able to meet their other needs. And
What?
I don't need to remind anybody here, especially these esteemed journalists, but when we expanded the child tax credit a couple years ago, we reduced black child poverty by half.
Now hold on now. This is something that she does. She jumps in and out of we. If you pay attention to Kamala, what you'll notice is she jumps in and out of we. Sometimes, she's running this campaign where she's going to be all new, fresh. She's going to do all these new things. She's not Joe Biden. We heard her say that in the first or the presidential debate she did with Donald Trump. She's not Joe Biden, but then she started talking this we talk. Like, what, either it's we or it's not we. You see what I'm saying? Like, how do you keep doing that? And people are letting her get away with it. I notice it. She'll go from we to I'm not Joe Biden, back to we. Like, what you mean?
And so again, if you talk about the benefit, and if you think about the benefit to the economy overall, it strengthens our economy to do things like pay attention to affordable childcare, affordable home health care, and extending the child tax credit.
Madam Vice President, black men, as you know, are closely watched voting.
He about to start talking about. Now, I think this is a little clip I did see a black men part. But if you notice, she didn't answer that question. The question was about the economy. And if it's gotten any better, she claims it's gotten so much better, but she danced around the fact that everything is so much higher under you. And I guess I'm going to carry your we. Now, I'm going to let y'all be a we right now under you and Joe Biden's economic plan and the things that you guys have been doing. Then you go on and talk about child tax credit. Well, she talked about the giving people $25,000 for a down payment. And again, there are stipulations. If you go to our website and read the actual plan, there are many stipulations to that. And then a child tax credit of $6,000. She danced around the fucking question still. How does this help the economy? Really help the economy? Help working class people for real? She's not saying any fucking thing. She's just giving her talking points. That's what she's programmed to do. It looks like, now again, she may get better. We still got some time left, but she just does talking points. The actual plan to get the shit done, which she should be saying, well, for example, I'm going to cut the military spending that we have that's ridiculously high, higher than any other country in this on earth, higher than the other top 10 countries on earth is what America, 3Ks, don't get this shit fucked up, Incorporated, what they spend on military. She just said, well, I'm going to chop that down some to fund, because she's going to have to, these are federally subsidized programs. She's going to have to fund it with some bread from somewhere. She got to move some money around, basically. And she's not talking about moving no money around. She could have said she's going to, take away from the military spending that they have and to, give that to make that a federal program for paying daycares. Let that be a federal program where you pay daycares most of the money and I come through and give my 7%. You do 93, I do 7 per my income or whatever like that. She ain't talking like that. She's not talking like that at all. But now we're going to get into black men. Let me go back a little bit. Let's see what, because I saw a small clip of her talking about black men. I don't know how far this conversation goes. Let's see what she actually says. My shit doing this buffer shit.
Health care and extending the child tax credit.
Madam Vice President, black men, as you know, are a closely watched voting bloc. You've hosted black men at your residence.
Yep.
You have engaged black men and centered them in your economic opportunity tour. But polling shows that some black men, particularly young black men, are considering voting for Donald Trump, and they see him as better for the economy. What is your message to young black male voters who feel left out of this economy, and how can your economic policy...
Now, y'all hear that? Young black men are saying they're going to go vote for Donald Trump because the economy was better under Trump from their perspective. And I can't knock that perspective, right? Now, voting for Donald Trump is crazy to me, but, it is what it is. But all this voting shit crazy to me, to be fair. But young black men, like, look, y'all sit around out here and y'all shame black men for being broke, downtrodden, not having money. And look, hey, I'm tired of hearing that shit, basically. Black men like, look, I'm tired of y'all motherfuckers is out here calling us broke, but then won't give us the opportunity. And then now you're making everything high as well. We're tired of that. And we feel like we were better off under Donald Trump. So we're going to go vote for that motherfucker, right? We're going to go do that, which I still think is crazy, but we're going to go do that because the economy was better, at least when he was in office. And what are you going to do? What do you got for young black men as they are out here and you wanting their vote? What are you going to do for them? Let's listen.
Materially change their lives?
So I appreciate the spirit of the question, but I'll tell you, I've often
Keyword
been asked this
materially.
question in a way that I've had to respond.
I'm actually pause that. Keyword, he said materially change black men's lives. Materially. That's a huge difference. Materially. Not this fantasy shit you talking about, but actual materially. How are you going to change black men's lives?
On by first saying that I think it's very important to not operate from the assumption that black men are in anybody's pocket. Black men are like any other voting
No
group.
one asked you that.
You got to earn their vote.
Okay. How?
So I'm working to earn the vote.
How?
Not assuming I'm going to have it because I am black, but
Okay. Now that's huge. She said, now she is a bunch of bullshit. No one cares about what she's talking about right now. She's not answering the question, but she said not to assume that I'm going to have the vote of black men because I am myself, in fact, black. She said she was black. Now, mind you, whether she says she's black or not, I really don't give a fuck what she does with that. Now, we know they ran her as black. And in her debate, she didn't say she was black. And of course, there was a lot of Kamala supporters that said, well, why would she say she's black? She's not black. They start doing this shit, this jumping back and forth shit they do. Now she's saying she is black. Now all of a sudden, she's black. She's actually saying, hey, I can't assume I'm going to get black men's vote because I'm black. And according to her fans, again, just the week before, she didn't say she was black. And they said, well, that's okay because she's not black. So people are going back and forth just like she does. I mean, I would argue if you're a fan of Kamala, then you are you going to dance around, you will jump back and forth. Wherever the wind blows you, that's where you going to go. But now she's black, and she can't assume she's going to get black men's vote based on being black. But then I want to know how you going to get black men's vote. Let's hear that.
because the policies and the perspectives I have understands what we must do to recognize the needs of all communities. And I intend to be.
Now here she go for this all shit. That man asked you about black men. He didn't ask you about all communities. And this is what black people, at some point, this is going to have to become something that's insulting to you, at least slightly insulting, if not over, or, over insult. Like, that man asked you about young black men. And you're now talking about all. This goes back to her when they asked about reparations. Am I going to only do something for black people? No. Y'all remember, right? Now that man asked her specifically about black men, and now she's talking about some all.
A president for all people.
Oh my God.
Specifically as it relates to what we need to do, to your point around economic opportunity. Yes, I started way before I was at the top of the ticket and what I called an economic opportunity tour, focused on black men.
No, you ain't been focused on no black men. Don't lie. The question was that black men are voting for Trump. They're saying they're going to vote for Trump based on the economy. You're talking about you've been doing all this work, but you haven't. This opportunity zone shit, that does not, and again, she just said it has nothing specifically to do with black people. He asked you specifically about black people, and you're not dealing with that. And this is the bullshit I'm talking about.
Understanding that, for example, we have so many entrepreneurs in the community who do not have access to capital, but they've got great ideas, an incredible work ethic, the ambition, the aspiration, the dream, but don't have the relationships necessarily. So
you talking to and about black men in the economy from the perspective that everybody want to be an entrepreneur. Everybody is going to be an entrepreneur, and that's not real life. What the fuck? Like, why are we allowing her to run around here and her economic plan is about small businesses and entrepreneurship? That's not real life.
work has included as vice president getting billions more dollars into community banks, including working with the big banks to do that, so that we can increase access to capital for our small businesses, for our startups. Part of my plan under my economic opportunity plan going forward is that right now, startup entrepreneurs, small businesses.
What the fuck? The fact now, black journalists, I need y'all to cut in. I mean, I ain't saying disrespect her, but I mean, come on, let's steer her back to what the question was. Talking about small business and entrepreneurship. Now, I didn't know she was going to do this. I didn't see this part, but that's literally her plan. That's literally her plan. It's all up talking about small business. Everybody not out here trying to start no small business. And then she talks about the capital that needed to start small businesses. Let's talk about how a lot of these banks will deny black people loans to start small businesses. They'll deny black people loans, period. Because now your credit score comes. So if you want to do something for black people, let's take credit score out of the loan process. Say some real shit. Say something real. Let's take credit score out of the loan process. And that's really for houses or small business. You want to look out for black people. If you want to do that, right? If you really want to look out for black people, then take out the whole credit part. Why the fuck you running my credit? Don't worry about all that. I need this bread. You know what I mean? Like, say something real, yo. Like, this is trash.
Only get a tax deduction of $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. So I'm expanding that to $50,000. Understanding, again,
as a tax credit, though. Be plain. Don't be jumping in and out. You're $50,000 as a tax credit. That means that business has to be functional for a year, you know, until they can able to even apply for said tax credit. You see what I'm saying? That business got to be functional. What about capital, though? How are you going to get people to capital?
Again, that when people have the opportunity to have the resources to get started, they're going to put the good ideas, they're going to put the hard work into it. And part of what I also know is that our young black men, our black men, just like any group of people, anybody, are...
We're not just like any group of people. We're not just like anybody. Stop. That's not true.
Small businesses are really the backbone of our economy overall. And when they do better economically, we all do better.
Here we go. Okay, here we go. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Y'all see what I'm saying? Now, if black men businesses do good, that's assuming that all black men are business owners or want to be business owner or have that aspiration to be a business owner, which isn't true at all. But when black men do good and everybody do good, you still haven't said anything specifically. You were asked about black men specifically, and you got into small business, entrepreneurship, and still haven't really gotten into black businesses. Because the truth about black businesses is a lot of times with black businesses, outside of not having the capital and the resources, getting society to participate in those black businesses as well is an issue. Typically, black businesses do business with other black people. White people are not coming to, be the backbone of black businesses like we do for everybody else. We do that. We do that for the Asians. We do it for all caves, all white people out here. We do it for everybody. That's what we do. We extend ourselves across the board. Other races of people are not coming to uplift a black business like that at all. That reality needs to be dealt with. I personally know, I know for a fact it's due to racism, but she's not going to deal with racism, I'm sure. But that has to be also dealt with as well. And instead of acting like you just, you black, you say you live in the hood or something like that, you just go start a business and you just going to take off because Kamala coming to give you a $50,000 tax credit, like $50,000 tax credit. That's not real life, yo.
Part of my work is about understanding what we need to do in dealing with, for example, the historic inequities that have faced the black community around home ownership, right? I don't have to go through the history with anybody here about what that has meant in terms.
You should go through the history. It'd be nice for you to go through the history. You claiming black now. Excuse me. You claiming black now, so you might want to speak to that history. Speak to the redlining. Speak to the housing discrimination. Speak to the loan discrimination due to the racism, the systemic racism of these banks. That would be perfect. Yet, you need to say it with your chest. Say it out loud. You talk about everything else. You dance around everything else. You're claiming black now. You need to speak about that. I'm tired of us as black people. We're always expected to. If somebody is black running, I did the same thing for Barack. They get to skip over being black and speaking about that history and speaking about what that means and speaking about the ways in which that has affected our lives, generationally affected our lives. Even now to this day, you'll see stories about black homeowners, and she wants to talk about homeowners and entrepreneurs. One, their businesses are not being, frequented by other races of people because of racism. And then two, you'll have black people that will try to go buy homes that will end up having to send somebody white in. They won't even sell it to the black person. They'll send somebody white in there to, do basically like a little trick on them, but then they'll want to sell to the white person. Well, these things need to be dealt with. These are things that are not happening on small scales. This is a large scale problem. And if you're claiming black like you just did, these are conversations and things that you need to say as a black woman. If you're going to be a black woman, do your motherfucking job then. Now that you're black. Now do the work. I don't need to have to explain to y'all. No, but we need to hear you say it out loud. Y'all know what it is. Basically on some, y'all know what it is shit. Please.
In terms of redlining, what that has meant in terms of biases and home appraisals, and the impact it has had on stemming the opportunity to build intergenerational wealth because of those obstacles. So part of the work that I have done and will continue to do is identify, speak truth about those obstacles and address them.
Truth?
Another example is medical debt. 1 in 4 black families or individuals is more likely to carry medical debt than others. So part of my perspective, and as vice president, part of the work that we have done is to say that we're going to eliminate medical debt from being on your credit score. Because until now, medical debt worked against your credit score, and people know their credit score like your weight, right? You know that number.
Can we talk about the trash that is the credit score? Can we talk about that? This credit score that needs to be abolished. I mean, like credit score. Let's abolish the fucking credit score and just help people. Like, what are we talking about? I don't. The credit when that's I won't go on a whole nother side tangent. I won't do it. But come on, this credit score shit is a goddamn scam.
And the difference between what that number is and what it needs to be is the difference between you being able to get a car loan, a small business loan, or even a leasing on an apartment.
Yeah.
And so part of my approach is understanding the obstacles that traditionally and currently exist to allow anyone, including black men, be able to achieve economic.
Anyone, including black men. The question was about black men, yo. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Wealth. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think it is sufficient to just only talk about economic policy around reducing unemployment. It is an important marker, and I'm proud of the work that we've done thus far, but it should be a baseline there. Everybody's working. The point is,
That's fair. I'll give her that.
do people have an opportunity?
I'll give her that. That's the only thing I'm going to give her that I've been able to give her so far, is that basically employment should be basic. Like, that's just what you'll notice about politicians. And this is anytime somebody's coming to run for president, what you'll notice about politicians is they talk about the economy as it pertains to employment or unemployment, or however they want to word it. They talk about it from that perspective, but she's basically saying, like, look, employment should be the bottom. Like, that's just automatic. That should be automatically in place. And I agree with that.
Opportunity to build wealth, if that's what they choose to do, if that's what they want to do. And a lot of my perspective as we go forward is just that. I believe that there are a lot of opportunities that are available to the American people if we see people. And
it's not just seeing people. You also have to deal with the billionaires that are out here buying up property, marking that property up. Now, you got to, Kamala, listen, you're going to have to attack the rich. It is what it is. I know now for politicians, they can't do this. But you're going to have some smoke for them because they are out here in those positions being, billionaires and shit like that. They're able to buy up land, buy up homes, mark up those prices, buy whole areas, mark those prices up. That's what they are out here doing. You're going to have to attack that as well. If we're going to have a real conversation, which I mean, we're dealing with politics. You're never going to have a real conversation, but you need to talk about this oligarchy. Okay. And now she can't attack that because she in somebody's pocket herself, but I think it needs to be dealt with at some point. Realistically speaking, it needs to be dealt with how these billionaires conduct themselves. We're doing buffering again. Like, come on now, this bullshit. Maybe let me come out.
understand what they want for themselves and their families, and then meet them where they are.
Madam Vice President, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the war in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
You've called for a ceasefire hostage deal and a two-state solution as an end to the war for many months now. And while you've expressed support for Israel to defend itself, a two-state solution and a ceasefire are at odds with what Benjamin Netanyahu has said is their right to defense. If it matters, as you say, how Israel defends itself, where do you see the line between aggression and defense? And our power as Israel's ally to do something?
That's a good question. I'm about to look. I want to see what type tap dance shoes she gonna put on for this. That's a good question. You calling for a ceasefire and two-state solution, and you have numerous times now said you're going to support Israel's right to defend themselves. Okay, even as they're conducting and doing and basically taking part in a genocide of people. Like, what are you gonna do about that, or how do we address this? And I want to see how she about to. Let's see what she say.
Okay, a lot to unpack in what you just said. So let's start with this.
It wasn't a lot to unpack.
I absolutely believe
You about to
that
lie.
this war has to end. And
If
it
you
has
believe
to
that-
end as soon as possible.
Okay.
And the way that will be achieved is by getting a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. And we are working around the clock to achieve that end.
Listen to how she talks about it. She talks about America as some outside third party to this, and we need to just get with Israel basically and ask them if we can get a ceasefire deal going and a deal for the hostages. Ma'am, you're the one, America is the one sending them the guns and the money to fund their quote unquote defense, which is actually a fucking genocide. What do you mean? You talking like you and Israel are two separate entities when America has been in I want to say basically on teams with Israel now for years. What are we talking about here? Are you going to talk about you taking money from AIPAC or what we doing? Because you acting like you got to go beg them people when you don't have to beg them people. You can call and say, hey, yo, chill. That's it. That is it. Yo, chill the fuck out. If y'all keep doing this shit, I'm taking the bread back. I'm taking the weapons back. We gonna send our people over there to goddamn get our shit back. If y'all keep playing. That's all she would have to say. Her or Joe Biden. Or, Joe Biden, I mean, he is the so-called president right now, but that's all that would have to happen. They trying to make this shit real deep, real heavy. Like she got to go beg. And no, you ain't got to do all that. Stop lying.
And stepping back, October 7, 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered, and actually and some Americans, by the way, in that number, slaughtered. Young people who were attending a concert, women were horribly raped. And yes, so I have said, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And
But Madam Vice President.
But exactly. Cut her off, black woman. That's not like, okay, 1,200. Okay, we respect. They take 1,200 from you. You take 1,200 from them. You want to turn it up a little bit, take 2,000 from them. They are at a 40,000 body count toll. That's not nowhere near even. Let me see if this black woman gonna cut her off and say.
But let me
I think
finish.
my ask is the
But no,
difference
let me
between
finish.
aggression and
No,
defense.
but it's
here.
important
Right,
to
thank
put it
you.
in context, which is what I'm doing.
There ain't no context. You're dancing, and she's trying to stop you. She basically she like one of them chaperones at the like the little high school dances when the kids getting too close. Like, no, y'all, no. What I asked you was, what's the difference between defense and aggression? At what point does it become aggression? We're at 40,000 bodies. That has to be classified as aggression.
And I'll get to that.
Oh my God.
And so how it does so matters. And far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed.
Far too many.
Women
Say the
and-
number. No. Say the number. Don't say far too many, because you came out with on Israel's side. You said 1,200. Some of them was Americans. You also said women were brutally raped. Don't just say far too many. Put the number out there.
Children. We have seen with horror the images coming out of Gaza. And we have to take that seriously. And we have to agree that not only must we end this war, but we have to have a goal of a two-state solution.
It's not a war. It is a full-blown genocide. Okay? It's not a war. Or the Palestinians will have the type of weaponry to be able to compete. This ain't no war. Okay? This is not a war. The Palestinians are getting work. They're getting worked. That's what's happening with them. This is not a war.
Because there must be stability and peace in that region, inasmuch as what we do in our goal is to ensure that Israelis have security and Palestinians in equal measure have security,
That's a lot.
have self-determination and dignity.
A question for you on that, though. What levers does the U.S. have to
Thank
support
you.
Palestinians in their right
Thank
to
you.
self-determination?
What you gonna do
and
for
is
them?
it even possible as Israel's ally?
Basically, what you are, okay, you giving Israel this bread and you ally with them, you giving them the weapons. How can you say this about Palestine? Y'all looking out for them? Are y'all giving them weapons? Now America is not above that. If you know anything about your history and the conflicts and wars that America's, they're not above funding both sides. Okay? They're not above in looking out for both sides. They're not above that at all. Okay? America will supply terrorist groups with weapons if it'll be, help their means to an end or whatever they're trying to get done. They don't give a fuck. America act like that. But basically, what you doing for, if you with Israel, what y'all doing for Palestine? Or can you do anything to look out for Palestine to make sure they have this dignity that you're talking about over here while you're giving bombs to Israel while they use those bombs on Palestinians?
Well, absolutely. I will tell you, I have been actively involved in, for example, meeting not only with Israeli officials, but with Arab officials
Meeting.
to
Okay.
talk about how we can construct a day after scenario where we participate in ensuring those exact goals that I outlined, including
What?
as part of the principles that should be applied to those goals, that there be no reoccupation of Gaza, that there be no changing of the territorial lines.
By the time you get anything done, ain't gonna be no Gaza. What you talking about? Ain't gonna be no Palestinians left. What are you talking about? She talking about she done went and talked to people. Didn't nobody ask you all of that. That black woman said, can you do anything on the side of the Palestinians to help them keep their dignity, which you talked about their dignity? Are you looking out for them as well? What are you talking about?
In Gaza, that there be an ability to have security in the region for all concerned, in a way that we create stability, and let us also recognize in a way that ensures that Iran is not empowered in this whole scenario in terms of the peace and stability of the region. But absolutely, the United States of America absolutely has a role, which is why we have been active, in particular with the Qataris and the Egyptians, around attempting to get a deal done and get it done as quickly as possible.
But Madam Vice President, just to follow up really quickly, is there a specific policy change that you, as President of the United States, would say you would do that would help this along? Because you've gotten a lot of credit for emphasizing the humanity of Palestinians. But what I often hear from folks is that there's no policy change that either you or the President Biden have gone and said they would do. Is there a specific policy change as president that you would do in our...
And see, he being nice about it. Like, look, he basically went about, look, ho, you keep talking about dignity for the Palestinians, but what policy are you going to have in place? If you become president, what policy are you going to have in place to make sure that this is done with? Okay? What are you going to do?
Helping of Israel.
We need to get this deal done. And we need to get it done immediately. And that is my position. And that is my...
She said we again. Now she back to we again. Like, look, this is, see...
policy. We need to get this deal done.
But in the way that we send weapons, in the way that we interact as their ally, are there specific policy changes?
Well, Eugene, for example, one of the things that we have done that I am entirely supportive of is the pause that we've put on the 2,000-pound bombs.
What?
And so there is some leverage that we have had and used. But ultimately, the thing that is going to unlock everything else in that region is getting this deal done. And I'm not going to...
Basically, she's still going to support Israel. She's still going to send them weapons. Because, man, the brother was very plain. Like, look, y'all sending weapons and shit to Israel. And money. Okay? That's what you're doing. Like, y'all sending money and weapons to Israel. If you become president, will that change? Right now, you can say it's Joe Biden, even though she's saying we. Right now, you can say, well, it's Joe Biden. He the president. He the one doing this shit. That's why they start calling him Genocide Joe anyway, right? Which is not fair because, again, you know, America has this agreement with Israel, and that was under Barack. They're getting billions of dollars of American taxpayer bread every year for their so-called defense. Okay? So not only are they getting billions of dollars from America, they're also getting weapons from America. Wouldn't you just stop giving them money and weapons? Wouldn't that be an effective way to not just call for a ceasefire, but to demand a ceasefire? What you begging for? You're the superpower. You tell motherfuckers what to do. Right? Like, come on now.
Disclose private conversations, but I will tell you, I've had direct conversations with the Prime Minister, with the President of Israel, with Egyptian leaders, and with our allies. And
not private conversations. Like, she's saying basically, look, I've been talking to people, but I can't tell you exactly what's being said. And see, this is the thing. When they talk about when this government and they act like they're going to be open and honest, they can't be, because the honest truth is so fucked up that they have to use tactics like she's using. Well, those is private conversation. I can't really get into all that. Ma'am, only thing you're being asked is if you become president, what are you going to do to stop this? Now she into, it's private conversations, and I can't really let y'all know what we saying in there on the low. But shit being talked about like that, that's not what you're being asked. What are you going to do?
I think we've made ourselves very clear this deal needs to get done in the best interest of everyone in the region, including getting those hostages out who, I
What do you
mean, we
mean
saw
getting them out?
the
Go take
latest,
them.
example of what
Like, what you mean getting them out? Go take them. It's Israel, right? Without your money, they are nothing. They're not a superpower. They cannot defend themselves like that. And I remember saying in my last live, if you really wanted to be a benefit, take all the weapons back and let the Palestinians and the Israeli forces, let them fight hand-to-hand combat, bow and arrows, spears, rocks. Take the weapons back. Take the bread back. Take the hostages. You can take, this is America we're talking about here. Superpower, right? Go take them. What the fuck you talking about? A deal. Go take them. What the fuck they gonna do to you? Israel is holding hostages. Walk over there and take them. The fuck?
what happened with the 6 most recently, one of whom was an American citizen.
But what do you say to those that say that's not enough, that stopping the 2,000-pound bombs the one time wasn't enough, that this administration, your possible administration, has to do more?
Right.
Well, we are doing the work of putting the pressure on all parties involved to get the deal done. But let me be very clear also. I support Israel's ability to defend itself.
She had to say that. Now, mind you, she had to say that because she can talk all she want about the dignity of the Palestinians. She can talk all that shit she want. But on her contract, AIPAC done said, look, every time you go out there, you make sure you say this. And she says it every single time. She makes sure that she says she supports their ability to defend themselves.
And I support the need for Palestinians to have dignity, self-determination, and security.
Shut the fuck up.
As we move forward and get a two-state deal done. But right now, the thing we need to get done is this hostage deal and the ceasefire deal. We need a ceasefire. We need the hostage deal.
Oh,
I want to switch gears to racial justice, Madam Vice.
And you gotta switch gears because, you know, she not dealing with nothing. No matter where y'all go, black journalists, I'm sorry, but you're dealing with somebody who's not prepared to answer any questions whatsoever. She just doesn't answer questions clearly enough. And she has a lot of things where she's not coming in to be. Now, she claims that she's going to be a new generation of leadership. No, you're not. You're going to be the appointed CEO of America, 3Ks, don't get this shit fucked up, Incorporated, which means you're going to do the same shit that y'all been doing. You're not about to be different. You're not about to be new, as she uses this terminology. No, you're not. You're going to be the same as fuck.
Vice President. Last month, you eulogized Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee's signature bill, one of a few, was H.R. 40, which would create a commission to study the history of U.S. slavery and study the issue of reparations.
H.R. 40 was trash. H.R. 40 was trash, okay? It was trash then. Any conversations about H.R. 40 and anything that's similar to H.R. 40 is complete trash. Now, this is basically what they did was they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to form a committee that's going to study reparations and what black people are owed in this country. Okay, now whether you call it ADOS, whether you're doing FBA, but the direct descendants of chattel slavery here in this country deserve and are owed reparations. What they did was they convened a committee to come and study what that meant. Once they did their study, as you can see, black folks still ain't got shit. Only thing now, or they still haven't been given what we're owed. The only difference is they can say, well, we acknowledged it and we studied it. We came up with some number. Now, I would argue that the number they came up with was way less than. If you listen to Dr. Butch Ware and Dr. Jill Stein on the Breakfast Club, Dr. Butch Ware quoted a number that was $10 to $12 trillion, okay? What black people are owed, and that's just money. To me, it doesn't involve land or anything like that, but that's just the bread. But that's what H.R. 40 was, okay? And I remember black people, I remember talking about H.R. 40, and black people was hype. They come out here and say, hey, we're going to study it. We don't need you to fucking study. We need you to do the same shit you do for Israel, the same shit you do for the Ukraine, the same shit you've done for the so-called Jews, the same shit you did even for the Japanese at one point. Run the bread, okay? Taking 4 years to study some shit, like, just run the bread and quit bullshit.
She introduced H.R. 40 every session of Congress, taking up the mantle from Congressman John Conyers. This is a bill that you have co-sponsored as a U.S. Senator. Yet, despite the fact that this has been, similar commissions have been created on the state level and on the local level, is yet to pass in Congress, let alone come out of committee.
Right.
Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and other advocates have called for President Biden to take executive action to create this commission. Would you, as president, take executive action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
Well, first of all, I just...
Quit smiling, ho. There is nothing smiley. Like, what is this? This little smiling shit, that wasn't a funny question. What about these reparations, though? Okay?
As you mentioned, Sheila Jackson Lee, she was an extraordinary leader who we just recently lost. And she was a friend and a real champion for so many issues. So I feel compelled to say that about her. On the issue of what we need to do going forward, look, first of all, we just need to speak truth about history in spite of the fact that some people are trying to erase history and try and teach our children otherwise.
Okay.
We need to speak truth about
Then you do it.
Generational impact of...
If we need to speak truth, you start it off. You do it. Speak truth.
Our history in terms of the generational impact of slavery, the generational impact of redlining, of Jim Crow law. I could go on and on and on.
You could. No, you
These
couldn't.
are facts.
The fact of the matter is, no, you can't. That's why you never do. You go on and on about stupid shit. But when it comes to, I want y'all to notice that peep thing. I'm peeping it right now. Look. When it comes to, she'll always be like, well, I ain't really got to get into all that because y'all know what it is. Then you talk bullshit about everything else. You give long-winded answers about everything else. Be long-winded about what you're saying is our history. Now you with us, right? You black now. Be long-winded about that. What you mean you could go on and on, but you ain't gonna really, why not? Go on and on. Somebody needs to, especially from that level. There has never been nobody that goes on and on. There's never been nobody to even have a real conversation about what this country has done, how it's benefited from what it's done, and how it affects us to this day. There are no conversations happening at all, especially on a vice presidential level, any level like that. It's not happening. It's not happening at all. So if you're saying you could go on and on, do that. I want to see it. I would love to see it. I don't think you can. If you ask me, I don't think you can go on and on. You don't have the ability or the intelligence or the connection to that history because as you're now saying you're black, we know for a fact you're not black. Like, stop this. You're not black American. Let's just stop this. Let's just stop playing these games, right? But if you could go on and on, do.
That have had impact. And we need to speak truth about it. And we need to speak truth about it in a way that is about deriving solutions. And frankly, I think that we, and part of that is studying it to figure out exactly what we need to do. But part of what we can do right now is, for example, what I'm talking about in terms of building an opportunity economy.
Oh my God. Now she goes back to, well, we do need to study it. No, we don't need to study it. The study's already been done. We don't need to study anything. The same game they played in California, where they was talking about they was going to study reparations and give payments to the people in California, the residents of California, the black people over there. But all they did was study. And that shit fell on its face when it came down to where they say the rubber meets the road, if you will, for lack of a better term or a better phrase. It fell on its face. Because they're going to study. They'll come out here and tell niggas like, hey, look, niggas, we studying. We reading up about it. And we trying to see what's really going on with the shit. But then when it comes down to actually doing something, the shit falls on its face. And that's why. Because people in positions of power like her will talk about, well, I am trying to do something with opportunity zones. No, that's not what the fuck that man's talking about. HR 40 was specifically about reparations, not opportunity zones.
Which is addressing explicitly the obstacles that historically and currently exist and dealing with them. Student loan debt, medical debt, bias in home appraisals. What we need to do in terms of dealing with an issue that I have championed for years, Black maternal mortality.
Oh, these are now. I'm gonna give her credit. Black maternal mortality is a real thing, and it's something that I've talked about as well. And then when she talk about the black home appraisal, that's a real thing as well. But that ain't got shit to do really with reparations, though. She's avoiding the word. She won't even say the word.
Which is the fact that black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other women.
Absolutely.
And we know that the reasons for that include disparities that pre-exist her pregnancy, including disparities
Racism.
that exist in the system
Say it,
during her
Kamala.
pregnancy.
Say it. Stop disparities. Racism. Okay? Speak plain. Speak true. You just said we need to be telling the truth. You just said that yourself. We need to be honest about this shit. Racism. That's why black women are more likely to die 3 or 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. Racism. Okay? Say it. What the hell? Disparities. What
So
type?
all of those things must be addressed.
But do you have a
Did not answer the question. I want y'all to notice that she didn't answer the real question.
position on whether that should happen, this commission should happen through executive order or via Congress?
I think Congress ultimately will have the ability.
Notice that she now it can what's being said here is it can be an executive order if y'all just do it. But she's saying no, we're gonna let Congress play around with that. Even though it can be an executive order, Joe Biden didn't make it an executive order because the executive order is just really to convene the official HR 40, panel or whatever the fuck they're gonna do. But she's avoiding the question. Really, it can be an executive order if you see Congress ain't doing it. So then why wouldn't you, as a black woman, you claim now you black? You just said it earlier. You black. Okay, our history, you talking like this. Well, then why wouldn't you get up there and make that an executive order? Why wouldn't you do that if you black?
To do this work. I'm not discounting the importance of any executive action, but ultimately Congress. Because if you're going to talk about it in any substantial way, there will be hearings, there will be a level of public education and dialogue.
Public education?
And I think that was part of the spirit behind the congressional action thus far, to ensure that everyone can participate in this conversation in a way that elevates.
We don't need everyone to participate in the conversation about reparations and the conversation about chattel slavery and what that America being built off that. We already know that the white people, the caves out here, aren't going to acknowledge it anyway. They're going to tell you niggas to get over it. They're going to bootstrap talk you just like you're doing with your opportunity zones. They're going to bootstrap talk niggas. That's what they're going to do. That's what they've been doing. Bootstrap, bootstrap, bootstrap. Work hard, work hard, work hard. Okay, so we don't need everybody to understand. We don't. We need people in your position that's claiming black, okay? Barack didn't do it. You're not doing it. People in these positions, these black faces in high places, need to speak true about the situation, about what it is. Like, about what it really is. Speak true about that. You black, you in a position, you talking about we need to speak truth, well, then do it. Be the leader then.
Knowledge about history and the reference points that have that are the impetus of this conversation.
Impetus?
Especially, again, when people are trying to deny history. When people are, so.
What about when people, black people, self-proclaimed black people, won't speak truth to power about the history? What about that?
So-called leaders are saying that enslaved people benefited from slavery. I mean, let's talk about the Delta here in terms of the work that needs to be done.
So she'll come out here and say something that the Republicans said, because they do talk like that, that black people slaves and benefited from slavery. Okay, if you can say what they said, what about what you say? What about you? She's real slick about not having any real policies, but then she can turn and be like, Republicans bad, Donald Trump bad. That's kind of the overall theme. Like, okay, I know they said that wild ass shit. They talk like that. They're racist. Call them racist like they are.
It's profound.
Madam Vice President, I want to move to Springfield, Ohio, and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by
He's talking about the eating dogs, the Haitian immigrants eating dogs, eating pets. I believe that's what he's leaning into out in Springfield, Ohio, eating dogs and cats. Since that was said, J.D. Vance came out and basically said, yeah, I told a lie, I knew it was a lie, but what can you do? Sometimes you got to lie to make people move, right? That's basically what he said. Sometimes you got to tell lies like this. Like, this is what my team like. J.D. Vance, the Republicans, they like that type of shit anyway, okay? Haitian immigrants are causing this big issue, eating people's cats and dogs, but that is a fucking lie.
Leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish and then I'll speak.
No, please.
It's a crying shame.
A crying shame. Here we go.
I mean, my heart breaks
Here we go.
for this community.
Here we
You know,
go.
there were children, elementary school children.
This was a lie. Now she's gonna get into emotionalism. This was. Now the question was more about what are you gonna do, but she's gonna turn into an emotional, crying shame. When she start talking like that, it's a shame. Like, okay.
Who it was school photo day.
You smiling? Stop smiling.
You remember what
Kamala.
that's like? Going to school on picture day? Who
Stop smiling.
dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before,
Get to it. Okay.
and had to be evacuated. Children.
Picture
Children.
day. They missed out on picture day. That's the problem. They missed out on picture day. That's the egregious behavior that's taking place here. Not the blatant, overt racism at all times in this country, but they missed out on picture day. They didn't get to take their pictures. Hey.
A whole community put in fear. And I'll say a couple things about it. One, you know, I learned a long time ago in my career,
What'd you learn?
having a background as a prosecutor.
Of course, back to that.
When you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning.
Really?
I learned at a very young stage of my career.
Is that why you won't commit to signing HR 40? Is that why you won't commit to doing anything specifically for black people? Is that why you will not commit to, going about the process of getting black people reparations because you know your words have meanings and that's why you won't say these things? I mean, what? Yeah, your words do have power and meaning. What you saying, though? Oh, shit, they doing some buffer shit. Come on. Come on back.
The meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison. As Attorney General, I was of California,
Oh, my God.
5th largest economy in the world.
Oh, my
I was acutely aware that my words could move markets.
Really? Okay.
When you are bestowed with a microphone that is that big, there is a profound responsibility that comes with that.
Oh, my God.
That is an extension of what should not be lost in this moment, this concept of the public trust.
Oh, my God.
To then understand what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust to be responsible in the way you use your words, much less how you conduct yourself.
Get the fuck
And especially when you have been and then seek to be again President of the United States of America.
Oh, my God.
And so I go back to, it's a crying shame, literally.
Right. It's a
What's
shame.
happening to those families, those children in that community, not to mention what is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these serious threats that are being issued against a community that is living a productive, good life before this happened. And spewing lies
Yeah.
that are grounded in tropes that are age-old. And look, I said it not very far from here the other day at the debate. This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes.
She's not dealing with the fucking question at all. Okay, we know that black immigrants that come to this country, and particularly we talk about Haitian immigrants. If it's not too long ago, if y'all remember some years back, it was videos of Haitian immigrants dealing with. They had what was it down in Texas where they had the border patrol or cops, or basically cops on horseback. They showed them on horseback, basically whooping the shit out of the Haitian immigrants. These other groups don't get treated like that. It's the black, in particular, and this time twice, the Haitian immigrants that's getting this type of smoke. These are black people from Haiti. I mean, we can say Haitian, but black people from Haiti getting treated like this with the horseback shit when they had it few years back, and now they up here eating cats and dogs. Okay? And she's dancing around the racism that is not only exist with the Republican Party or Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. This is America. She knows this.
This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, whether it is refusing to rent to black families.
Oh my God.
Whether it is taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against 5 innocent
Here she go.
black and Latino
Acting like Donald Trump is the only racist in the world. Here they go.
teenagers, the Central Park 5, calling for their execution.
Oh,
Whether it is
God.
referring to the first black president of the United States with a lie, birther lies.
Birther lies.
And look, the American people deserve, and I do believe want better than this. I do believe that.
If you believe that, you should not be running for president. These white people out here are racist. This American people talk that they always get into is a lie. I just watched her do the same thing at the debate where she talked about how she be going all around America and everybody just want to be neighbors. That's a lie. You cannot be claiming now, and particularly you claiming that you're black now, and then act like, the American people by and large are just, and not racist. Like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. How can you be wanting to be in charge of a country when you won't even address the realities of that country? What the fuck are you talking about? What you believe? What? How do you believe that?
I know.
You know?
The vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know that. I know that regardless of someone's background, their race, their gender, their geographic location, I know that people are deeply troubled by what is happening to that community.
Really? Everybody deeply troubled about what's happening to black people? Really? That's a lie. Matter of fact, those are immigrant black people. So now you got to where, of course, the caves never give a fuck about nothing that's happening with black people. But then now you have black people who are on this whole, immigrants bad. The immigrants doing all this shit. So what are you talking about? You know for a fact that people are troubled by this? No, they're not. No, they're not. Okay? That's a lie. How can you be trying to run for president and you don't even know the people in the nation in which you're trying to be a president of? That's a lie. Because now you got the caves. They never give a fuck about what's going on with black people. And now you have the black Americans who are now turning their ire to immigrants. So what are you talking about? She ain't even being real.
Springfield, Ohio. And it's got to stop.
Do it.
And we've got to say that you cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America.
Oh, my God.
Engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country, is designed to have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that.
Oh,
and I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense.
No.
And to say, you know what, let's turn the page on this. This is exhausting.
That's a part of her, campaign moniker, turning the page. We're not turning, we're not going back. We're not going back. She loves saying this shit. We're not going back. We're not going back. My argument and what I want to know is, when the fuck was we forward? Like, what are we talking about? We're not going back to what? You can't be talking about racism. We ain't never moved past that. So we not going back to what? When they are able to make Donald Trump the single representative of all things racist, all things that are involving racism. Because, really, to me, the interpersonal racism, they call me a nigger, all this old shit like that. Like, I don't really give a fuck about all that. It's a systemic racism for me. Now you have to deal with the country as a whole. You're not just dealing with Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and a couple Republicans. When this conversation becomes a real conversation, they won't be talking about Republicans. They'll stop that. Right now, her even proclaiming to be black, she's talking about Republicans as they are the racist of the nation. That's not true. It's just not true. They are some of the racists in this nation, but in every institution, there's racism, systemic and otherwise. Every institution, all these caves out here, Democrats too. It's almost like they almost want to let the white Democrats slide. Like they're not racist at all. What are you talking about? You don't know the country that you're trying to be a president of.
And it's harmful. And it's hateful.
Is it?
And grounded in some age-old stuff that we should not have the tolerance for. So let's turn the page and chart a new way forward and say, you can't have that microphone again.
Madam Vice President, I'm switching gears again.
They keep switching gears too. Like she ain't dealing with every gear y'all go to, she not gonna deal with your gear. So the switching gears thing is just pointless at this point. Like she ain't dealing with no gear.
Quick question. I want to talk to you about gun control.
Okay.
So you've said you support an assault weapons ban and universal background checks, and we actually learned during the debate that you are a gun owner.
She damn sure said it.
But
she told that heat. Her and Tim Walsh, she said they got that heat on them. She not trying to take nobody guns. That's what she said in the presidential debate. She got that heat on her.
in cities like Philadelphia, handguns are responsible for most homicides and violent crime. The most recent FBI data shows handguns were involved in 59% of murders in our country. How will you address the issue of the use of handguns? Because a push for an assault weapons ban only addresses a significant but small part of the problem.
These are facts. Basically, she's saying, look, it's the 9mm and the handguns that's causing most of these issues, not the ARs. Okay? It's really the handguns that's causing most issues, not the ARs. Now, they are putting switches on these handguns now. They are modding them bitches up. They're putting switches on them to basically turn them into basically automatic handguns. That's what they're doing. They're doing that, but it's still a handgun nonetheless. What are you going to do about that? And when this gun conversation comes up, I wish they would just be like, look, I don't even know what I don't know what to do or tell you about this. They need to be real about it. Because then you have to deal with the NRA. Then you got to start dealing with some of these they are basically corporations that lobby within politics. You got to start dealing with the NRA if you want to really talk about a gun ban. And if you're not hearing, now I don't know if she's going to say it or not because we haven't watched this, but if you're not hearing anything about the NRA, then they're not going to address gun issues at all. They're not going to address it at all. Let's see what she says.
So, first of all, yes, I am a gun owner, and Tim Walz
got
is
that
a gun
heat.
owner, and we're not trying to take
Tim got
anybody's
that
guns
heat
away from them.
I'm telling you again.
But we do need an assault weapons ban. Assault weapons.
She just said that's a very small piece of the problem, Kamala. Well, so okay, move on.
Are designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly
Yes,
and
an
have
assault
no
weapons
place
ban,
have
yes.
no place. I'm going to get to it.
Yeah.
Get to it now. Like, look at this smile. She's like, no one has time for yo. I'm gonna get to it. Get to it right now. Answer the question. Assault weapons are not doing most of the work. Okay. Assault weapons is the ones you really sending over there to Israel to kill Palestinians. Really good. That's not most of the work going on right here. It's handguns. What do you do about that? What do you do? There's nothing. I wish they would just be honest about it. There's really nothing we can do about this. Because people who are criminals are going to go buy guns illegally. I mean, unless y'all just going to stop making them. Like, there's really nothing that can be done about guns in this country unless you go take them all. If you're saying you're not going to take them all, then you might as well just say nothing you can do. Other than background checks. That's the best y'all been able to come up with thus far. Oh, Lord, it's doing his buffer shit again.
And have no place on the streets of a civil society. We need universal background checks.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Which, to your point about handguns, is about saying that it is just reasonable to want reasonable gun safety laws that say we should do background checks that we ought to know. It's just reasonable. You might want to know before someone can buy a lethal weapon. If they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others, you might just want to know.
And respectfully, we do understand that.
But you're asking
Yes.
about...
I'm asking specifically about handguns, because many of those handguns aren't purchased in places.
Universal background checks
Yes.
apply to handguns.
There we go. There we go. Many of those handguns are not purchased legally anyway. The people that's out here that's killing, they're not waiting for legal, they're not going through that red tape. They just going to get the heat. Gun shows and trunks. I mean, people just shaving off serial numbers and buying them out of people's trunks. I mean, let's be real.
Yes.
They do.
But in
And
many instances, those handguns aren't even bought lawfully.
There you go.
Which is
Drilla.
why I also have been very adamant for years. In fact, I myself protested at a gun show probably
gun
10,
shows. Look at
15
me.
years ago about the
Okay.
gun show loophole and why we need to close that. Because what ends up happening is that
But you have to deal with the NRA. Kamala, if you're not going to talk about the NRA, just shut up. Just tell them to move on. Like, this is a
at
waste.
gun shows at flea markets, gun dealers are not, under existing law in the past, required to register
The NRA.
their sales. And so you are exactly right that a lot of homicides, for example, a good number of them, I don't have the statistic in front of my mind, are committed with illegally purchased guns. And that's why we need to address each entry point in the issue, including
What about including criminals? Y'all can't seem to stop them. Y'all can't even stop dope from coming into the country. Now, y'all going to have to be real at some point and say that, well, we don't try to stop dope from coming in. We'll catch a boatload every once in a while, but by and large, we let the dope, we just got to let it do what it do. Some of it got to do what it do, right? So you're not dealing with every entry point because you're not saying the NRA at all. You're not even mentioning them at all, so you're not really dealing with the issue. Or the fact that y'all let a lot of these guns come in. Y'all make a lot of these guns and put them on the streets yourselves. But you can't talk like that.
universal background checks, closing the gun show loophole, and what we need to do as a general matter to focus not only on reaction to crime, but prevention of crime. So you're
Really?
raising a very important issue that has many facets, including
Just tell the woman you don't know. Like, is there anything, I mean, if you ain't gonna say nothing else, why can't these politicians be real? When it comes to gun laws, y'all unless you're going to actively go take everybody's guns, there's nothing you can do. Nothing. America's big. It's not the UK. They was able to get it over there. Then over there, they'd be stabbing the shit out of people, right? This is a big country. Way bigger than the UK. Just say you don't know and move on. Ain't nothing like, look, I'm going to try to do the universal background check as best I can. See, I wish that politicians were able to talk plainly. And you're going to have to mention the NRA at some point, too. But they can't talk plain. Just move on. Just move the fuck on. Like, damn well ain't shit you can do unless you're going to go take everybody's gun by force. Because that's what you're going to have to do. If you're not doing that, you might as well just, look, ain't nothing I can do. Come on now. Oh, come on.
what we need to do in terms of reasonable gun safety laws and what we need to do around crime prevention, what we need to do around crime deterrence. But listen, I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have held the hands of mothers who have come to me crying, who have said, I only want to talk to Kamala, because they knew when they sat down, I would treat them with the dignity and respect that they were entitled and due.
Girl.
about the loss of their child, often their son,
Girl.
to gun violence and the need to take it seriously.
Stop this.
And we must take it seriously.
We
in
do.
every way, understanding it's not just about a soundbite. It's about a comprehensive approach that deals with the tragedy of, to your point, everyday gun violence in America. It's real. It has had a profound impact in terms of trauma that, for the most part, has gone undiagnosed and untreated.
Oh, my God.
The trauma that exists in communities around the violence of losing their children, losing a brother, losing a father, an uncle. All of that must be addressed, and we have to have a holistic response to
Are
it.
there things we haven't thought about yet? Because every time we bring up this issue of gun violence, universal background checks comes up.
Thank you, black woman. Y'all say the same shit every time, basically. Now, she can't say it that plain, but that's how plain she want to say it. Like, y'all say universal background checks, okay, ban assault rifles, okay. Y'all say the same shit every time, but y'all won't never say shit about the NRA. Now, that's what I would say if I was her. What about the NRA? Let's see if she say it.
A ban on assault weapons.
Right.
Are there other solutions that you're also thinking about that will get at this issue?
Absolutely. For example, part of what we did with, so we, as vice president with the president, we were able to pass the first meaningful gun safety legislation in 30 years. And part of what that involved was millions and millions of dollars to put more mental health counselors in public schools, right? Because we know that there is an aspect of this that is about treating the trauma and dealing with it at its source before it ends up manifesting itself in a problem. There is the work that we need to do that is about putting resources into communities around violence prevention. I've been a big advocate of that for years, which includes what we need to do around putting resources into community-based intervention that is not just requiring on the good people in the community to volunteer to do the intervention, but actually paying people to do it because it's a full-time job. It's about understanding what we need to do to, again...
Kamala, just say, no, that's really all we got. Like, we do our best. Universal background checks. That's and banning assault. That's the best we can do. She still ain't said the NRA yet. So this is the best we can do. Okay? Outside of taking away the Second Amendment right for people to be able to bear arms, you have to go take that away. So questions and in conversations, and this could be me being insensitive. I'm not going to lie. This is just me, in my opinion. Questions around guns, unless you've taken them all, there's no point in having. That's the best they could do. Now, the fact that they continue to talk about, implementing universal background checks, that the fact that that's not a thing yet, is interesting. And a ban on assault rifles, that's interesting. But outside of those two things, there's nothing else you're going to be able to do but take guns. That's it. Go take everybody's guns. Put it forth. Hell, you probably have to get the military involved in that shit. That's it. There ain't nothing else you can really do. And it just is what it is. We allowed guns to become a part of the American culture so deeply, and you can get them in all types of different ways, that they couldn't stop that. They could not stop people getting guns unless they go take all the guns, burn them bitches, melt them, or do whatever the fuck ever they gonna do. And it will be still people that had guns. Now you got some motherfuckers that got guns and everybody else showing up with knives. So the gun holder's gonna win anyway in this situation, because everybody ain't giving their fucking guns up. So unless you're addressing taking away the right to bear arms, you're not going to be able to address gun violence and guns. You might as well just move past it. I think the question is silly. Honestly, we really think about it, it's silly. Ain't nothing you can do about these people with these damn guns. Fuck, it keep buffering like that. But there's nothing you can really do. So unless we're going to take away the people's right to bear arms, we might as well just move on. I mean, really. You're not stopping nothing. Come on. We're going to be back. Hold on, y'all.
Understand that, to your point, we have to have a holistic response to this issue and prioritize it instead of reacting to the tragedy that, sadly, they are too predictable. Let's all agree, enough of that.
Enough of what?
There are very few solutions that we haven't thought of. We need to put the resources into them.
Madam Vice
No mention of
President,
the NRA.
we want to move to the topic of reproductive access, something
Yeah.
that you have worked
Maybe she'll be able to
leading
talk
on
about
both for
this
the
good.
administration, Democrats, and now the top of the ticket. You've said that as
She does good with reproductive rights and women's rights. This is an area in which she actually does good in. She does good here. But this is about all.
President, you would want to codify Roe. If it came to your desk, you would sign a bill
Yep.
that did that. Roe protected access until fetal viability, which it also says is, quote, at about 7 months, but it may occur earlier, even at 24 weeks. So do you similarly support also codifying Roe's restrictions, which allowed states to ban abortion in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy unless necessary to save the mother's life?
We need to put the protections of Roe v. Wade back into law. And when that bill gets passed by Congress, I will proudly sign it into law.
It's not what he asked you, Kamala. Like, I gave you credit. Now, here I am trying to give you some motherfucking credit for you being able to handle questions about this. But when it comes to how long should a woman be able to carry that kid before she makes the decision? Now, this brother said, now, Roe v. Wade said y'all can go up to 7 months. Do you think that's crazy? Do you think that's too? Basically, that's what he's asking. Like, is that a little bit too long for you? Like, should a woman be making a decision way before we get down to 7 months? Ain't that ridiculous? Unless it's, to save a woman's life or something like that. The pregnancy is going to kill her. But isn't that a little, would you try to, work that a little bit to where we can get it back down? Maybe like 4 months is the top. And then after 4 months, like, you just got to deal with it or what? And then here she go. Saying this bullshit. It ain't got nothing to do with what the man said.
Understand what is happening in our country.
Oh, Lord.
Over 20 states have passed what I call Trump abortion bans because I understand how we got here.
Kamala, the man asked you, are you cool with women getting abortions at 7 months? Is that okay with you? That's with Roe. This is with the Roe v. Wade, protections, as she calls them. With those protections, a woman can get it at 7 months. Do you got a problem with that? And she ain't even, now she talking about Trump again. Trump bad. Oh my God. Hey. Girl, what the fuck? That's not what you're being asked. Do you agree with the 7 months or not?
The former president handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. They did as he intended, and in state after state, laws have been passed criminalizing healthcare providers. I don't know if anyone here has heard most recently the stories out of Georgia.
Yes.
Tragic story.
Now, I did hear the story about the black woman out of Georgia who they were apparently the doctors or the hospital or whatever was afraid. And thus she bled out in the car in the parking lot due to some complications, which is very problematic. But it's on the states. What Donald Trump did, however you feel about it, all he did was say, well, it's in the state's hands. It's up to your state. If you stay in a fucked up ass state like Georgia, where your governor is a goddamn racist and completely anti-black, and y'all know that these white people are dealing with their negative birth rates, in which case these laws aren't really for black women. If they really could, they would say, basically, y'all black women can abort whole time. Don't worry about it. All the way to 9 months. Don't you go ahead. But y'all white hoes, y'all ain't doing shit. I don't care if you get raped. I don't care if it's incest. I don't care what the situation. Y'all white women are going to have these white babies. Okay? If they could. But since they got to make it a women's thing, black women are kind of swept under this, umbrella of they're a woman. And thus these laws, they really want to just force white women to do it. They don't want the black people in this country to start outnumbering them, and they already are. They are a negative birth rate. They really want this to be specifically for white women, but they can't come out here and just say it blatantly like that. They really want this to be a white woman thing.
About a young woman who died because it appears the people who should have given her health care were afraid they'd be criminalized.
These are facts.
After the Dobbs decision came down.
And this was a black woman.
Laws
that
that
this
make no
happened
exception
to.
even for rape or incest, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. An approach that doesn't take into account that most people, I think, agree you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. If she chooses, she will talk with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government or Donald Trump telling her what to do about her own body and her life. So that's where I stand. We need to put back in place the protection of Roe v. Wade and put that into law.
And those restrictions that are also in.
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade and let an individual, in consultation with her doctor, make.
If he basically tried to repeat the question, like, we're talking about the restrictions, like, you don't went around the world, okay? We're talking about the restrictions. We're talking about up to 7 months, okay? In some places, he said it's 6 months, 7 months. We're talking about that, and you're not dealing with that.
The decision based on what she can determine, because she's smart enough to know what's in her best interest instead of having her government tell her what to do.
That's a good move. What she's doing is, when she says that she's smart enough to know, she's basically saying women are smart enough to know. She's basically giving women a high five on their intelligence and on their integrity and things like that. That's a good move considering the woman vote that she's trying to capture. That's a pretty good move right there as a politician.
Especially a bunch of people in these state capitals who think they're in a better position to tell her what to do than she is to know what's in her best interest.
That's a good move.
Before we conclude, Madam Vice President.
Even though she didn't answer the question, that little bit at the end, that's politician. That's politician 101 right there. Like, this woman knows exactly what she wants. This woman, to kind of big up that base, that's a good move.
President, Joyful Warrior has been used to describe your campaign.
You didn't see that just a minute ago, though. Okay, I'm back to my joyful part.
And your opponent and Republicans have at times weaponized you laughing in campaign ads, for example. Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what?
She laughs because she don't know what to say. It ain't got nothing to do with joy. Like, she don't be knowing what the fucking say, and she's trying to make sure that y'all don't catch it. She not answering none of your fucking questions. That's why she laughs. It ain't got nothing to do with no damn joyful warrior. Please.
What do you
clown
make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, there are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them.
A strength being I can bust out laughing in serious conversation. That's not strength, okay? That's not strength. Don't be telling young people that's strength. That's a lie.
Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people.
What?
I find joy in optimism, in what I see to be our future and our ability to invest in it. I find joy in the ambition of the people. I find joy in the dreams of the people. I find joy in building community. I find joy in building coalitions. I find joy in believing that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, but who you lift up.
You ain't gonna find joy in being black today, huh?
And I think we should all find joy and have a sense of optimism about who we are as Americans and what we mean to each other and what we can do to lift each other up.
Right.
Madam,
President Biden spoke to former President Trump after the attempt on his life this weekend. Have you spoken to him?
I have.
And
somebody else took a shot at Trump. I think it was a cave bitch this time. Somebody else took a shot at him. I mean, I shrugged, but some people, of course, the Republicans are going to make a big deal out of that. They took a shot at him at a golf course, if I'm not mistaken. The whole mist, people are also saying that those things are being staged, that he's using these assassination attempts as a way to kind of get support from his base. Like, look, they trying to take shots at me. Look, I must be a threat to, this system because look at them trying to come for me like that. That's basically somebody else took a shot at the boy.
Earlier today, I assume?
Yes.
How'd that go? You want to give us some intel?
Sure. I checked on him to see if he was okay.
Yeah.
And I told him what I have said publicly. There's no place for political violence in our country. I am in this election and in this race for many reasons, including to fight for our democracy. And in a democracy, there is no place for political violence. We can and should have healthy debates and discussion and disagreements, but not resort to violence to resolve those issues.
On January 6th, your vehicle was allowed to kind of pass a viable pipe bomb. We've seen.
No, I was in the building.
You were in the building. And we've seen what's happening with former President Trump. Do you have full confidence in the Secret Service to
I do.
protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe, you and your family?
I do.
He asking her that because the Secret Service is getting smoked right now, basically because of all these things that are happening with Trump in particular. Like, they're not doing their job. So the Secret Service is getting some smoke, which, I mean, it is what it is with the Secret Service. These people are supposed to jump in front of bullets for other people. I mean, I couldn't imagine what I have to be paid to do that work. I couldn't imagine. I would have to be, multi-millionaire to sit around and be a human shield for another regular person. Like, I couldn't do it. But the Secret Service are getting smoked because they're claiming they're not doing their job of protecting the presidents.
But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service.
Okay, look at you.
And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe. I mean, I look at
That's a bar.
Project 2025.
Look, hey, I ain't gonna hold her. That's a bar. She said, well, look, everybody ain't got Secret Service. She tried to be like a person of the people right there. That was another pretty good political move. Even though the rest of again, this interview, she ain't answering no questions, but that was a bar. Everybody ain't got Secret Service. And now she about to go into Project 2025. She got no choice.
And I look at, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now.
Black people, no.
And so...
Okay. So we got gays, immigrants, and women. Okay, and then the immigrant thing, I'm questioning you about that because you supposed to be over that through your whole presidency. But she don't say black people not once. Black people don't feel safe either. I'll say it for us at B123. Black people don't feel safe either at all. Because we can get no-knocked like Breonna Taylor or get choked out in a traffic stop like George Floyd. We don't feel safe either. We got anxiety.
Yes, I feel safe. I have Secret Service protection. But
Right.
that doesn't change my perspective on the importance of fighting for the safety of everybody in our country. And doing everything we can to, again, lift people up and not beat people down so they feel alone and are made to feel small and made to feel like they're somehow not a part of it or us.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get the fuck up
I
out of
appreciate
here.
this. Thank you. Thank you.
That lady has such a nice voice. Like, she don't want to say, like, can you please get the fuck up out of here? Because you didn't really say anything the whole time. You didn't really answer any questions the whole time. We kept having to change gears because you don't answer any questions. Now, understand that I'm doing these, reviews. And now, look, as I saw, let me show y'all this. I didn't know this. Let me show y'all this real quick. Y'all see this full town hall? Kamala Harris and Oprah Winfrey. Let me see what it actually says. They holding shit. I might hold a conversation in Michigan. I may go watch that and see what Oprah has. I may go watch that too 2 days ago. Okay, I didn't know that. Up there lying to the people in Michigan or dancing in Michigan. Up there doing that. So I may actually try to watch and review that too. But I'm just what I want people to understand. And the reason I'm doing this, not because I give a fuck really about politics, okay? Understand that. Know that. It's because I want black people to be able to understand these political conversations. And I feel like I'm able to make things plain for us to understand and be able to interpret this, political talk. Like, it's a whole different type of language. And what Kamala does is impressive. It's very impressive that she's able to do what she's able to do and not answer any questions whatsoever and still be taken seriously as somebody that is going to be voted for because Trump bad. Republican bad. She's able to run on that. That's why when she's asked these questions, she can't answer them because her whole campaign is Trump bad. Not saying it ain't gonna work. That's worked before. It worked for Joe Biden when he ran. Trump bad. Not saying it won't work. That's all Democrats really. Diehard Democrats going to vote Democrat anyway. It wouldn't matter who was in there. So Trump bad is it's worked and it can work again. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but the reason she can't answer these questions is because she don't have much grounds to stand on. If you ask her serious questions, she don't got much grounds to stand on, y'all. And that's just what I want to show. The Democrats out here, black people, if you listen to how she even dealt with black people now, mind you, she claims she was black in here. But then when it comes to black issues specifically, she does not speak to black issues specifically. And that's because she's not black. Okay. And she's a politician. So what she has to do is say she's a person for all people. That's how this shit works, especially at this level. They got to start talking about all people. And I just want to show the hypocrisy. I mean, we're going to break this shit down. I'm going to make it plain for y'all anytime I come in here and do it. Now, I'm about to get the fuck out of here. Normally, I would open it up for questions. I just want to show love for everybody that came here, showed up. Y'all hit that like button for me. I'm actually about to go hoop. Y'all say, I gotta go get my hooping in. It's Sunday. It's nice outside. I'm about to go to the park and hoop. That's what I'm about to do, right? And so I just want to say I appreciate everybody for showing up. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button so I can get up in this algorithm so we can at least have some real people out here that's talking about this type of stuff, because I don't see a lot of it. There are people that are leaning towards one side, or they support Republicans, or they support the Democrats. Like I don't support neither one of these motherfuckers. But I want y'all to know when y'all being lied to, and I want y'all to know when y'all having y'all's face played in. I want us to know that as black people. That's going to make us a better people, in my opinion. And we can understand exactly how these people talking to us and the lies they're telling and how they avoid us, how they don't even deal with us. She said, y'all heard her, gays, women, and immigrants. What about black folk? The black people that you're campaigning to as a black woman. Now you done said you black. Now I'm gonna hold you. You really, and people thought I was making a big deal about her, me saying she not black. And of course, it ain't that serious. I never said it was that serious. I could give a fuck less what she is. But now that she's done said she black, oh, she gonna get smoked now. She came out better being an Indian. Where I'm concerned, I mean, this is gonna be for me. Now I'm gonna hold you. Okay, you black? Oh, really? Okay, well now, not saying our name, not saying us on the list of people that are concerned for their safety, not being able to talk about reparations or the actual history that's going on out here as far as racism in this country. Well, you black? You said it. So now I'm going to hold you to that. And I'm going to be on your motherfucking head. So it just is what it is at the end of the day. All right. Matt, love to y'all. Shout out Team Rob. Y'all know what the fuck it is. Black first, second, and third. And I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.